Right now on Hoosier News Source, find out about a special session that will come at a cost for taxpayers.
And IUSA held a debate. Find out how the election could affect your college experience.
And I have one to expect rain this week and when the beautiful spring weather will return, as well as your Easter forecast. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Hoosier News Source. I'm Meredith Strewing.
And I'm Jonathan Levy.
Zoe Mintz has what's in store for weather this week. Zoe?
Thanks, Meredith. We may have had a chilly weekend, even seeing some snow on Saturday, but temperatures are beginning to start to warm back up. And with this warm air comes the rain. On Saturday, we can definitely see this rain. 8 a.m., 49 degrees, 70% chance of precipitation. And as a low pressure system begins to develop earlier in the day, the rain chances will increase as the day goes on. 90% chance at noon, 52 degrees, 100% chance at 4 o'clock with some heavy rain. Over a half an inch can be accumulated on Thursday alone. But there is a bright side to this rainy weather. As this low pressure system pushes through our area, it will take with it all of the rain for a beautiful, mild weekend. On Friday, temperatures 54 degrees, 50% chance of precipitation, but skies will be partly cloudy. Saturday, 52 degrees, only 30%. We may see a few pop-up showers, but mostly a dry weekend and a beautiful Easter Sunday. Temperatures 55 degrees. We could even see almost 60 degrees, hopefully, if the temperatures get a little up there more. And if we take a look at the weekly forecast, we can see the rain that hit us earlier this week on Wednesday and Thursday's pretty mild temperatures. And then as we head into the beautiful weekend, we can see the mild 50s, 52, 55 on Sunday, beautiful Easter weekend. And we can also begin to see the possibility of a beautiful spring beginning with us on Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully you get a chance to go outside and enjoy this beautiful weekend. Meredith, Jonathan, back to you.
IUSA candidates debated issues this week concerning students on campus. Hoosier News Source reporter Abir Kamran has the details on the topics discussed throughout the debate.
The three tickets, Reform, Unite, and Voice, showcased varying viewpoints throughout the debate. A strong difference of opinion arose in regards to how the student government should be structured. A candidate from Voice argued her distaste for Reform's desire to eliminate the position of VPC, or Vice President of Congress.
There was talk about getting rid of the role of VPC. From what I know, there's already issues with communication between the executive board and the congressional body. Why would you get rid of a role that is there to facilitate that communication?
The Vice President of Congress serves as a liaison between the President and the Speaker of Congress. The role's purpose is to increase communication between the executive and legislative branches. Now, it's important to note that both the Reform and Voice platform want more efficient communication between the President and the congressional body. It's their approach on how to do so where they disagree. Emma Coates is the presidential candidate for Reform and currently serves as the Speaker of Congress. Her experience as head of the legislative branch has shown her that it is easier for the President and Speaker of Congress to communicate directly.
So it's really easy for me to just attend the executive meeting and then attend Congress and tell each branch what the other is doing. And I also found it kind of interesting that Voice had an issue with getting rid of the Vice President of Congress role because one of their campaign members presented a Constitution draft to Congress last night that didn't include a Vice President of Congress in it. So it was interesting to me that there seems to be a conflict within their campaign.
Presidential candidate for Voice, Alex Wisniewski, believes that keeping the role of VPC is necessary because it assigns a third party to facilitate the discussion between the executive and legislative branches.
So having that increased communication, having that direct line through Alyssa, through a VPC is something that we saw as very beneficial.
The IUSA elections take place this week and polls close on Wednesday. For Hoosier News Source, I'm Abir Kamran.
Voting is now open for the 2018-2019 IUSA election. Visit beinvolved.indiana.edu to cast your vote and learn more about the individual tickets.
IU's Residential Programs and Services is taking part in National Nutrition Month. RPS will be offering free samples at all dining halls this month. Goodbye Eatery Wells Quad will see a plant-based takeover, and the IMU will have a farmer's market. RPS says they want to encourage students to think about nutrition more. This Wednesday is your last chance to take part this semester.
The Food and Drug Administration wants to reduce the amount of nicotine in cigarettes. The agency says they want to help millions of Americans quit a deadly habit, and they also want to prevent millions of others from becoming first-time smokers. The FDA has yet to release the specifics of their plan. The exact levels of nicotine and dates for the new plan are unknown. But one IU student says she's glad the FDA is taking action.
I know a lot of people who smoke cigarettes here, and I think that was one of the most surprising things coming to college. I kind of figured that it was more of an older thing that people did, considering we know that it gives you cancer. So that if they were to reduce it, I think it'd be nice so that students wouldn't be so addicted to it, because it's a nasty habit and it makes your breath smell bad.
It's not just bad breath smokers have to worry about. According to the CDC, cigarette smoking is responsible for more than 480,000 deaths per year in the U.S.
Indiana University's School of Public and Environmental Affairs is ranked #1 for its master programs in public affairs. Public finance, environmental policy, management, and nonprofit management are all ranked first. IU President Michael McRobbie says that the feedback helps confirm the growing achievements at IU. Indiana residents can now legally purchase and possess CBD oil. Governor Eric Holcomb signed Senate Bill 52 Wednesday. Anyone of legal age can legally purchase, sell, and possess CBD oil with no more than 0.3% of THC, the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb called a special session to occur in May. Holcomb's priorities for the session include increasing funding for the Indiana Secured School Fund, conforming the state tax code, and allowing school corporations to obtain funding advances for school security equipment. Topics also cover providing Muncie Community Schools with a loan and complying with the IRS rules to protect taxpayer information. It's the first time in more than 30 years that a lawmaker has called a special session when his party controls both chambers of the legislature. A geometric structure is being displayed outside Myers and Rolls Hall on campus. Synergy is part of Exhibit Columbus, a constructed art display created by students at Midwestern universities. This 500-piece hexagonal sculpture made from folded sheets of recycled plastic was constructed by IU students in the Advanced Interior Architectural Design Studio class during the 2017 spring and summer terms. Assistant professor of the class, Jean-May Wu, says Synergy embodies the reality of life, community, and harmony through its simple parts working together. Visitors can take a seat inside the sculpture or view its multiple dimensions from the outside.
Coming up, we tell you how the Hoosiers did in sports this week.
Plus, we tell you what's going on around the world.
These stories and more coming up. Stay with us.
And it's an honor to be here.
After suffering a season-ending injury in late March,
As you can see behind me,
A lot has happened this week worldwide. World News reporter Courtney Sisk is here with the latest lowdown.
Thanks, Meredith. Thousands of residents in eastern Ghouta are evacuating the area and heading to Idlib. Buses transported 900 fighters and residents as part of a deal between the Russian army and two rebel groups. This is likely the last evacuation from the agreement. Speaking of agreement, NATO expelled 7 Russian diplomats and now plan to deny pending accreditation to 3 Russian staff. 25 countries, including the U.S., agreed to expel Russian envoys as well. This all follows the poisoning of ex-Russian spy and his daughter in southern England this month. Russia is still denying their involvement. Over 100 Dapchi schoolgirls finally returned home after being held captive by jihadist group Boko Haram. Nearly 5 weeks in captivity, the girls reunite with their families and have had undergone medical and security screenings. 5 of the 110 girls abducted from the boarding school died, and 1 is still being held as she refuses to convert to Islam from Christianity. That's all this week for World News. Meredith, Jonathan, back to you.
Qualifications for the Little 500 bike race occurred this past Saturday, leaving fans eager for the big race in April. Riding in freezing rain conditions, 32 women's teams and 33 men's teams competed for the best time. Delta Gamma came out on top for the women's category with a qual time of 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Kappa Alpha Theta finished right after with a time of 2 minutes and 57 seconds. The Cutters team took first in the men's category with 2 minutes and 34 seconds, while Kappa Sigma finished second with 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Teams are now preparing for the race on April 20th and 21st, and IUS TV will be there to give a full recap of the event. Many IU sports teams were back at it in action this weekend. IUS TV sports reporter Joe Cantor joins us in studio with the highlights. Joe?
Thanks, guys. The Indiana softball team has now won 4 games in a row and off to a perfect 3-0 start in conference. The Lady Hoosiers swept the number 18 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at home off a 7 RBI weekend from catcher Maddie Westmoreland. Adding to that was pitcher Tara Traynor, whose dominance in the circle resulted in her picking up 2 wins in the series. Their effort was recognized as the Hoosiers swept the Big Ten Weekly Awards for the first time since 1995. Westmoreland picking up Big Ten Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week, while Traynor earned Pitcher of the Week honors. Well, March is famous for great basketball runs by great teams, and the IU women's basketball team is treating us to just that. Tyra Buss and Amanda Cahill are determined to end their senior season with a bang. In their WNIT run, they beat UT Martin by 24 points, the University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin by 20 points, rival Purdue by 22 points. Then against UC Davis, in front of the largest crowd to date this season, all Tyra did was score 30 points, and Amanda Cahill backed that up with 24 points of her own, as IU beat UC Davis 81-66. The Hoosiers host TCU at Assembly Hall in the WNIT semifinals on Wednesday. Well, this year's March Madness tournament has been one of the craziest of all time. I'm here with your March Madness update. Let's start with the darlings of the tournament, Loyola Chicago and Sister Jean. The 11-seeded Ramblers have advanced to the Final Four courtesy of not 1, not 2, but 3 buzzer-beating baskets. The team they're going to play on Saturday, Michigan, they had perhaps the shot of the tournament. Poole kicks his legs out, barely faces the basket, drains it as the Wolverines beat Houston. Those teams meet up Saturday, and on the other side of the bracket, also playing on Saturday, Kansas and Villanova. But we can't bury the lead here. The first ever 16 seed to beat a 1 seed, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, stomped Virginia. Jarius Lyles and KJ Mora put the Chesapeake Bay Retrievers on the map, making history for UMBC. Well, guys, just 4 teams left in the tournament. Who are you rooting for?
Personally, I have Loyola. You know, I love a good underdog story, and a number 11 seed coming up from the bottom. I like them.
Yeah, how do you like Sister Jean?
Exactly.
I mean, this might not be the most popular answer, but I do want Michigan to win. I'm rooting for Michigan. I did pick them to win in my bracket, and I need that extra cash, so I'm definitely hoping they win this tournament.
All right, there you go.
Anybody's game. Well, thanks, Joe. That's all we have for you this week. For more campus and local news, visit our website at iustv.com.
And like us on social media. Like us on Facebook at IUSTV News and follow us on Twitter at IUSTV News.
From all of us here at IUSTV, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.